you can't flip-flop here. You got to make the decision right now. Either rolling with Evans till the end, or Masoli's coming back and taking it when he's healthy. I think no matter which way they go, they got to make that decision and make it now. Because we're 3 weeks out from now, we're in week 7, and you're still flip-flopping halfway through the season, recipe for disaster. Welcome to the 11th Island. I'm Brad. That's Chris over there. CFL Week 4 is wrapped up. Another fun week is in the books, even though a little less games than we were expecting this week. Still fun week, but Chris, let's get into it. What are we starting with?
Well, starting off, it's nice from a competitive standpoint, I guess, to see that the Hamilton Tiger Cats are actually playing well for once in the season. They're going beyond. They had that first opening drive where they started out really strong. With Evans out there at QB, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, well, this is what they did week 1, and they're going to come out hot, and they're going to flame out, and they didn't flame out. And I mean, and that's not to say the Alouettes didn't have a good game. I mean, Vernon Adams threw for, I think, like 200 yards or something. He gave up the 1 interception, but it was the Tiger Cats game to win, and they went out and did it. The defense did a good job too, backing up that. I mean, Finally, we see that. I mean, they were promised to be the fastest car in the game, their offense, and we actually got to see that for once. So I'm glad. What do you think, Brad?
Well, I think saying Adams had a not bad game might be a bit of a stretch. I think he played pretty rough, to be honest. Like by some standards, it would be an okay game, but for what Vernon Adams can do, I think it was a rough game. And I think for Hamilton, yeah, I mean, it is. We were promised a lot with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. People were saying, are they going to go undefeated? Staring at 0-3 to get that win is pretty big for them. And I think the question now becomes, I mean, Masoli started the first 2. Dane Evans came in this game. Did Dane Evans play better than Masoli would have in this game? Probably not. They're pretty even keel. So it's like, even though Evans gets the win here, do you keep rolling with the hot hand?
But I mean, isn't Masoli kind of hurt playing? Wasn't he playing hurt last week? Wasn't that kind of a story that came out after?
Yeah, that's why he didn't play, because he was hurt. But the situation is, once he's healthy, do you keep? Because it's not a long-term injury;
well,
it's a rib thing.
And it's how hurt was he? How hurt was that? Was he injured? Was he hurt? Going back to an old debate from last week, but was it the injury or the hurtness?
No, he was hurt late in. No, he was hurt late in the last game he played.
But I think you got to run with Evans if he's giving you a win. I mean, you give a guy 3 chances after an open quarterback battle. It was never a thing like, oh, this guy deserves it. This guy's going to be the guy that has it. No, it's going to be you guys got to compete for it. That's been the tone in the locker room. That's been just the rules have been set for that offense, and you can't back down on Evans now that he's the one with the win.
Yeah, no, I agree. In the situation, I think that you can't flip-flop here. You got to make the decision right now. Either rolling with Evans till the end, or Masoli's coming back and taking it when he's healthy. I think no matter which way they go, they got to make that decision and make it now. Because we're 3 weeks out from now, we're in week 7, and you're still flip-flopping halfway through the season, recipe for disaster. But it is Hamilton again. Eastern Conference can be wide open. I mean, the Argos are looking like the top team right now in it. But Hamilton again, you're not out of it. You're not out of it. You're keeping yourself in the race. And Montreal, we talked them up a lot the last couple of weeks, even after the loss. They really need to get it together here, kind of regroup, and they got the skill there. It's about just putting it all together and playing a complete game here. And stop making the mental mistakes.
Well, you talked about the Argos looking like the top team in the division right now. Nothing is set in stone. It's real early, but I mean the Ticats now are very problematic to that, considering. I mean the Ticats are going home now. They were able to pull off this win in Montreal with a home game finally in sight, and I think part of the reason that the Hamilton Tiger Cats have gotten off to such a shaky start is that you start off in Winnipeg up against a team that you lost in the Grey Cup to, and they're raising the banner, and sports haven't been around or in that town for a year,
Mhm.
and the fans are going nuts, and you get that first, and it all falls apart, and that crowd just jumps on you, and you know you're not getting the home crowd, you're not getting the fans until week 5.
Yeah.
It's crazy how this schedule has been laid out for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So now that they're able to get a win with home in sight, it's going to be very dangerous for the Toronto Argonauts heading over to Hamilton next week.
Yeah, I think the Eastern Conference is like the winner. The Toronto and Hamilton play each other 4 times starting next week, which we'll get to for on Labor Day. If any one of those teams can go 3-1 or better, they win the division. That's what it comes down to. If Hamilton or Toronto can get 3 wins in those 4 games, that's it. That wins the division.
Yeah, I think that's on the money, and I mean, it doesn't get more crazy than next week Labor Day Classic in Hamilton, home opener. But we'll get to that later. First off, did that technical? We're jumping ahead. There we go. There we go. It's a art, not a science, ladies and gentlemen. BC Lions heading to Ottawa, our nation's capital, for their 8th grade trip. The East Coast people will get, or the Ontario people will get that, but 24-12, Red Blacks couldn't do it. Brad, what are you thinking?
I mean, the Red Blacks are really struggling on offense here. Paul LaPolice was fired up after the game, too, talking about how unacceptable it is. And the situation is, I mean, Matt Nichols is not putting up good numbers. And it's a, are they going to change their QB, go to Dominic Davis, who is going to do no better, probably worse than Matt Nichols? Like, if we're being honest, like we've seen this experiment before and it didn't work out. And so it's like, you can only do so much at the quarterback position if your offensive line is faltering, if your wide receivers, like, I mean, there's some bad drops in that game too. Like, you can only do so much. I mean, Matt Nichols isn't, he's not going to walk in there and just make everybody around him great, no matter how good he is. And at this point, coming off shoulder surgery, we don't really know how even healthy he is. So Ottawa's in for, it's going to be a long year. And I think you're going to see some really frustrated coaches, frustrated players. You're going to see some personnel changes going in and out, just trying to make something work. And it's probably not going to work. And the defense is playing good. So that's what sucks is, I mean, if they're getting blown out and then the offense is faltering, it's whatever, right? We're just a terrible team. But when the defense is keeping it close, it hurts that much more.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're on defense and your offense keeps giving 2 and outs, and they have to give the ball back to Michael Riley, who had a fantastic game. I mean, throwing over 300 yards. Just that time, in the CFL, the ball changes so much. So if you can, any time that you can give your defense off, even if you don't score, is huge. And the Red Blacks just weren't doing that. And the defense looked good at the start of the game, but you just get chipped at. You get chipped away at. I mean, Michael Riley throwing 1 touchdown with his arm, 1 with his feet, being a very dynamic quarterback to play against. Very tough.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Riley's like the week 1 kind of concerns with Michael Riley, sorry, are kind of over. I think he's probably not fully healthy, but he's clearly getting healthier as we go along in the season. He's playing in good football, so BC, I think, is a good position to be the real dark, or not even a dark horse, like a real contender in the West here.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, for the Red Blacks, as you said, it's gonna be a long season from here on out, especially taking it home and not seeing any changes.
Yeah, and I'm saying that the tickets by the end of the season in Ottawa are going to be real cheap, so we're going to have to make our way down.
Yeah, I mean, COVID willing. All right, we're moving on. A narrow W for the Blue Bombers, winning by 2 over the Stampeders. What do you think?
It was nice to see Andrew Harris back. I mean, his first snap since the 2019 Grey Cup, and he played good. He picked up right where he left off, had a really good game. And again, Winnipeg is a situation where you got Brady Oliveira, who didn't even have a rushing attempt here, but you have Andrew Harris and him kind of being able to take control of a game here, and with Claros as a game manager, where as long as he's in a situation where the running game's working good, they can kind of build on a lead. He's not going to lose the game. He might not come in and win you the game, if that makes sense, but he's not going to lose you.
No, definitely. And I mean, in a game like this, I mean, it was very much the offense did what was needed, nothing flashy, and the defense, did a lot of the heavy lifting. And that's just the style. That's just the way the Blue Bombers have arranged their team. And when this is working, it's great, And I think it's just, I mean, Jake Meyer for the Stampeders, I've been really impressed by him.
Yes.
He looked really good in this game, 307 yards, and that trick play. Remember that trick play?
Yeah.
Where, I mean, he took a big hit. He almost got his kneecaps taken off, or so, he went flying. It was like a Charlie Brown cartoon right there, watching him go. And I'm just thinking, Calgary, you only got one of these guys left. What are you doing here?
Jake Meyer's a baller, and I think it's going to be in 2019 when Bo Levi Mitchell got hurt. Nick Arbuckle came in, looked good, and he's a starter for the Argonauts here. I think you looking at 2022, Jake Meyer's going to be a starter on some team in the CFL.
Yeah,
because he's starter ready. But I mean, obviously not replacing Bo, but he looked good, is impressive, and I think CFL starter ready.
Yeah, I was just looking at the down the stat line just to see if it was even there, and we got Jake Meyer one reception, one attempt, 6 yards. How about that? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. A quarterback has has 5 more receiving yards than he does rushing yards.
That's something, especially in a CFL game.
That is something.
But again, too, I think here, especially going up against Winnipeg's defense, which again, one of the best in the league, they are really good. To look like this, and Calgary, they're I believe 1-3, right? They've played all 4 games yet. 1-3, not a situation the Stampeders fans are used to being in, but it's not a panicked 1-3 because they're getting back. Even though Bo Levi is out for a substantial amount of time, the team's getting better. Jake Meyer's looking good, and he's gonna week to week exponentially get better. You're okay, Calgary fans. Even though it's shortened season, there's a lot of games left, and they can make up some ground real quick here.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, the interesting thing, I mean, you got Edmonton now getting a little bit hot. I mean, we'll see how this bye week.
Well, I wouldn't call them hot. They won 1 game.
Hey, it's too early. It's too early still. I mean, this week or this whole last few weeks, I mean, you try to do football math on this stuff, it just doesn't work out. It just doesn't. None of this stuff adds up.
CFL is not CFL is not a league to do football math, and especially with all these COVID challenges and then the quarterback injuries, quarterback kind of. I mean, a lot of teams in this league have already started 2 different QBs, so there's a lot of ups and downs in this season already, 4 weeks in, but that's the CFL experience, and you just got to roll with it and have fun with it, and just who knows who's going to be standing there at the end of the year.
Hey, that's why we love it. All right, now, speaking of things that who knows what's going on with it? We got
who knows how long it's going to take to click down.
Yeah, it's an unexpected buy. So there's a lot of. I mean, the stats from the latest Elks game: 11 players with COVID. Those are the stats.
Yeah, we touched on this last week, and once all the details come out, it's not a good look for the Elks. It really isn't. I mean, if you're the Argos, I think the frustrating part is for the Argos is. Who knows if does this game get rescheduled? What's it look like? You probably don't want to burn a bye that early when you don't need it. I mean, if Edmonton forfeits it and Toronto has to lose a home game, all that gate revenue, one of our season's tickets, because Edmonton doesn't know how to not get COVID. Which, I mean, again, it's hard to point fingers and say like, it's your fault you got COVID. And these things happen. I get it.
I mean, who knows who's touched the door before you? Like we're
Mhm.
it's like the issue with COVID is it's like the metaphor of the barrel with the holes in it, where it's
Mhm.
like you could be a hole up here, but it doesn't matter because the water's not going to reach that point because of the hole down here, you know.
Mhm.
And it's used, you know, if you ever go to like a teamwork workshop and the person comes in, they're making like $50 an hour to motivate you guys and get the, you know. But anyways,
Yeah.
you know, those types of characters always pull that one out where it's the barrel, right? And the issue is if you the second you touch a door, there's a guy with a lower hole in the barrel than you in terms of caring about COVID.
Mhm.
And what are you gonna do? Sanitize every time you touch something? I mean, you
Yeah, and
try, but it doesn't always work out. You know, there's a lot of things that can happen, and then all of a sudden now we have, like it's somebody touches some invisible germs somewhere. You know, could be going into their hotel room. It could be, you know, sitting alone, and then something just comes through. Like they did everything right. They locked themselves in. They're in the room or they're in their car and stuff, and then all of a sudden a little particle comes through the air conditioning and just whoop right up your nose. And the next thing you know, you got the hot dog guy. He's not getting paid for a week. You know, you got the person that writes the lines in the field. Like I'm just talking about the scale here of
yeah.
who's impacted when this happens. And you really, I mean, and I'm not just saying that as somebody that wants to just be able to go to another Argos game. Like we gotta roll this back somehow.
No, I get it, and it's frustrating too, like because things like this happen, and you immediately want to start pointing fingers.
Hmm.
And I don't I'm sorry, Chris. I got to turn the gain down here because that washing machine is a lot louder than I thought it was going to be. Can you hear it coming through there?
I can't
Sorry.
hear a thing, but
Okay, perfect. So a situation like this, you're going to start pointing fingers. That's the good. People want somebody to blame. Like, bang,
mhm.
Edmonton's fault. They got to forfeit the game. These things happen. It happens. There's going to be a big debate now about the vaccine policies. We don't. I don't think we even know what the percentage of players on their team are vaccinated. We don't know the percentage of players that tested positive, if they are vaccinated or not. I don't think that's a productive route to go. I think that it's a situation where we knew something like this was going to happen.
Mhm.
The most concerning thing for me is that we are about a week out from when the game was canceled, and there's been no rectifying it in the schedule. That's the concerning part for me. The CFL can look at Edmonton and say, you got to get your vaccination policies, blah, 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 whatever.
Mhm.
The CFL's got to get their scheduling right and understand that this was always going to happen. You need to figure out and deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, we want to as people outside the inner circle of all these things. We want to know. We want to know why haven't you done this? This feels like an eternity. It's been a whole week, but it's been probably in the CFL head office and in the
Mm-hmm.
Elks head office, and then to an extent the Argos, because I mean the Argos are the outside looking in, constantly calling. It's like, oh man, like we're trying to coordinate, like not only getting making sure these players are safe and healthy, and everybody around them and supporting them is safe and healthy, but we also need to look at, okay, what personnel are we going to have on deck for the next time we're going to have to roll out, and you know, all these things you're trying to, and then the league is trying to figure out, okay, where can we move these puzzle pieces around? Will they even be ready for Labor Day weekend? Will they be fine and good? Will they have a full team to play? And meanwhile, the Argos are calling. Like, you got Pinball calling up and saying, hey, come on, idiots! Like we need a gate. We need to make this home game up. You know,
Yeah.
hey. You know, and it's like, oh, like Pinball's calling again. You know, and it's chaos. And you don't want to just go out and talk too much to the press. You know, you don't want
No.
to come on 11th Island and where we're gonna, as crazy journalists, are gonna be picking apart the situation. You don't want us.
Yeah.
You don't want a couple knuckleheads like us, like shuffling through like your paperwork and stuff. You know. So I think it's going to need to be a little bit of time, but I think the deadline for having things sorted out is this weekend, Labor Day weekend. Be able to confirm, yes, there's
Mm-hmm.
games that are going to happen this weekend with everyone involved. I don't even know. Do the Elks have a bye? No. They do not have a
No,
bye.
the Elks play. They play
Yeah,
probably Calgary
yeah,
on Labor Day. Do they
yeah.
not?
They play Calgary. So is that we need to know in a few days? Is this game happening? And then by the weekend, we have to say, okay, this is the game plan. I mean, you can't go into the next week where it's like, okay, is this game getting made up, or do the Argos have another win in their column?
Yeah, that's something that I agree. That's perfect. This weekend is going to be a deadline to really figure things out, put it in play where this is how it gets rectified, and a lesson to all the fans out there: the finger pointing, the yapping. It's not helping anybody. At this point, it's just let's hope that everybody on Edmonton is able to recover fully from this. We've seen in other sports where these elite level athletes are really hampered by this for a long time. And in a football season, you don't have a lot of time to recover. So
Yeah,
hopefully that they were able to, all the players, all 11 that got it, are able to recover fully and are able to play the rest of the season at the level that they're capable of playing.
yeah.
And that hopefully with some of the things that maybe Edmonton did wrong that have been announced, other teams are able to work off of this and really tighten things in and make sure this doesn't happen again.
And
And
remember, oh,
no, I was just going to say, and if it does happen again, that it's not necessarily like it's not going to be a shock because we are still in a global pandemic.
yeah. And I mean, I will say, everybody listening, sound off in the comments. This is a debate that needs to be had. I mean, this is the debate. Maybe it's been had too much in every facet of life, but I mean, this is the issue right now. So, let's discuss it. Let's have some fun with it. Like, be able to laugh where we can laugh and be serious where we can be serious. But at the end of the day, remember, everybody, and I mean everybody, just wants people to be happy, healthy, and free. And we have a lot of different roads that get in there. So, but that is the state of the CFL right now and the state of the world with COVID. It's just,
Yeah.
and it's been incredible to see, going back. I mean, being in alt football here, we all know the XFL and we all remember that going through. And this is, I mean, talking about it on this program, that's a dead horse. But I mean, when that stuff shut down, it was so fast. It was like that news shut down, but then, and I mean, that folded for a specific, I mean, that was a brand new entity. You can't survive something like that. But you go in and you see the NFL go through stuff where the NFL really had to shuffle around. MLB, really had some major issues, and they had. I mean, they fundamentally changed the rules of the game to allow for seven inning doubleheaders just to make last year work in the MLB.
Yeah.
These own or
I will say 7 inning doubleheaders are unconstitutional and just wrong in every facet.
Yes, they're terrible. But I'm just saying their willingness, like a league's willingness to keep an established product going, and I think the CFL has that tenacity. It has that kind of shrewdness, and I'm fully confident we have a solution coming out of this week.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. And I think on kind of that down note, we are going into realistically, other than Grey Cup weekend, we're going into the biggest weekend of the CFL season. Labor Day weekend is one of the premier events. So let me give some picks and hopefully win you guys.
All right. So first off, September 3rd at 7:30, we got the Alouettes taking on the Red Blacks. The Red Blacks.
Is that a Friday night? So that's a Friday night game.
Yeah,
right?
that's a Friday night game. No, yeah, because it's a Friday night game. The Alouettes are minus 156. The Red Blacks plus 132.
In Ottawa.
In Ottawa. Point
what's the spread?
3. So the Alouettes would be minus 3. Over under 43.5.
Yeah, so take the Alouettes minus 3. That's easy because the Alouettes have the potential there, and Ottawa's not putting points on the board. And again, take the under because the Alouettes might put up a bunch of points, but the Red Blacks aren't. So under Alouettes, easy money.
Yeah, okay. And then next, we got the Blue Bombers heading to Saskatchewan to take on the Rough Riders. They're sitting at Plus 118. You got Blue Bombers as the dog here against the minus 140 Rough Riders. Over
What's the
under
spread?
41.5, and the spread is 2.5. Very tight.
For Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
It's in Saskatchewan, you said?
In Saskatchewan, yeah.
Yeah, I with it only 2.5 points, I don't take the spread. I would just take Saskatchewan money line here. I think Saskatchewan's really been rolling. Winnipeg's really good, but it's in Saskatchewan, right? And with the team as good as them, yes, I think they take the home game. And what was the over under?
The over under was 41.5. Seems pretty low.
Yeah, I think you take the over here. I think it's a situation if you get burnt on an under 41 points, you just got to take that on the chin. Winnipeg's shown that they can put points on the board, and Saskatchewan's really shown this year that they can put points on the board even against good defenses.
Yeah.
So over in Saskatchewan money line. Don't waste taking the spread. Just take a money line.
And I mean, looking back at week 3, is the Blue Bombers play on the road? Is that going to be a trend? I think we really kind of start to work that out with the Rough Riders, and based on how they jump back this week from that loss, I'm starting to think that, I mean, anytime you can go, you can take like a slight favorite against the Bombers on the road. I think that's pretty good.
Yep.
All right. So next we got the Elks. The Argonauts first taking on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Hamilton is coming home. The Argonauts are at plus 132. Ticats are the favorite at minus 156. The over-under, 42.5, and the point spread is 3 points. You bet with your
I think you take Argos plus 3. I mean, I think if you're giving me the Argos underdogs, and I get it's in Hamilton, I get it's the home opener, and as much as everything says take Hamilton, I think you take the Argos here. I think the Argos have really shown that they're a better team so far this year. So give me the 3 points, and I'll take them. And then, sorry, what was the over under?
42.5.
Take the over. I mean, Argos the last game they played really put some points up. Hamilton's offense is maybe starting to break out a little bit here. I think you take the over there.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a clear offensive battle, and I think it's a great choice for Labor Day weekend. We got the QEW rivalry up in there. Finally, if the Elks can play, and that might be a prop bet, you can poke around on this website that you know what we're on. We're not giving out free shout-outs. Edmonton Elks are taking on the Calgary Stampeders. Elks are at plus 148, and the favorite Stampeders are minus 176. Over-under 39.5, and the point spread 3.5 points.
Take Stampeders 3.5. The Elks, there's too much uncertainty going on in the where their locker room right now. They've probably been in with practice for a while, so there's going to be a lot of disconnect. And I hate to say it, but who knows what strength those 11 guys are going to be at coming off of COVID. So I think, and then Jake Meyer looked really good. Take the Stamps minus 3.5. The over under was 39.5. Take the over. Anytime this could hit under, and that's a ridiculous say. But take the over and just think that the Stamps are going to put up over 20 points and just pray that the Elks put something on the board, which coming off the last game, they were kind of starting to break out a little bit on the offense. So hope that kind of continues a little bit. And I think over here and then Stamps easy. There's just too much going on in Edmonton right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is why Niagara Falls always wins, Brad. That I'm looking at that over under. And I'm just saying it couldn't be more on the money in my mind. That is just right there. With everything. Yeah,
no matter how you bet that, it's going to be sweaty.
It's oh man. I'd have a heart attack playing on that one. But anyways, Brad, that's the show. Tell the people where they can find us and what they need to do.
Well, first off, what you gotta do is you gotta like, comment, subscribe on this video. Subscribe to make sure you keep up. We're pumping out the CFL content every week, as long with other immediate reactions. We talked about the Jake Paul fight. We're doing immediate reactions for UFC, all sorts of other stuff. NFL previews coming soon. 250 and 350 subscriber giveaway. Check out the sports cards playlist for how to win. And yeah, just stay tuned. We'll be back next week with the week 5 recap, week 6 preview, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, Mellow Show. Maybe we have COVID. See you next week.